I think if you look at
the game needed to be wrapped up before half time, because as soon as half time came, like literally, like you said, we have nothing on the bench. And if you look at Villa's bench, they had,
when
it was wrapped up. We're winning 2-0. It was wrapped up.
Bro.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of you thinking, 3-0 at half time against Aston Villa. Aston Villa are a really good team, by the way. Like, let's just be fair to Aston Villa, they're a very good team. Being 2-0 up on the 60th minute of the game, that's practically wrapped up. What you've got to look at as an Arsenal fans this year is why have you led...
Not going to win from home, though, to be honest, Terry.
Okay, that's fair. But Arsenal this season have led 5 times now at half time and drawn the games. 10 points dropped at home from winning positions. That's an issue. That is the difference between being top of the league and second right now. When you consider the season, last season, not once, every game you were leading at half time at home, you went on to win the football match. So something's changed between this season and last season.
Wait, so how is that not on the manager then? If that has happened 5 times this season, are we saying that's all the players?
Maybe this game is not.
I'm asking you.
Maybe not this game, but generally there is. Guys, because we've literally seen this 2 seasons ago. Like when we go through a bad run, we go through a bad run.
Ash.
When we bottled it to Liverpool, it happened against West Ham. It happened against Southampton. I'm not saying this game is purely on Arteta. Of course not.
Yes, okay.
But I'm saying there are certain things sometimes that managers can do when they see things are going bad, like when you're conceding the first goal but
it wasn't going bad. That's what you don't understand. It wasn't going bad.
No, but as soon as you concede that first goal, if you bring in a Jorginho or if you bring in a Zinchenko, put him into that midfield, somebody who can get the ball and pass it into the dangerous spaces, bro.
My man really here explained. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. He literally explained. Jorginho was going to be a liability against a very physical Morgan Rogers and Oli Watkins and John Duran, guys. Is that how are you guys?
When he's played with Declan Rice before, he's always played good, bro.
30 minutes left of the game. 30 minutes left of the game. The way we were playing, and we were 2-0 up, 30 minutes left of the game. We shouldn't even have needed a manager there for them 11 players on the pitch to see that 100%. Game out. They're professional footballers that are competing for leagues the last few seasons. These guys, without a manager, should be able to see out that game. They don't need these substitutions to be like, oh, we need to go more defensive. It weren't like we had all attackers on. We had Bryce and Moreno on. We had Partey.
Giuseppe, I get that, but we are not on a 6-7 game winning streak. The players are obviously low on confidence based on what's happening. So you should know as a manager, when you concede and you're 2-1 now winning and the game could be tense, based on the last 4-5 games, you should know your players are not on that high. No. I'm not saying the players are not to blame.
Did you say low on confidence? We just beat Tottenham in the North London derby. They should be on full confidence.
Guys, are you serious? That's our one win in the last 4-5 games.
Forget the confidence thing, bro. We're saying about the manager, but apart from, tell me now, after we conceded the goal, apart from the second goal they scored, tell me what chance they created in the game. So
Giuseppe, they don't need a lot of chances, but that's the point. No. They don't need a lot of. Last season when we lost to them, tell me how many chances they created when they beat us.
I'm not saying that, but changing a player would not have made a lack of concentration just not happen.
But it changes the way the game goes, guys.
I would agree with your point.
He might have come on and we lost the game. You might have brought on Jorginho and then they got another goal and we lost 3-2.
I'm not saying bring him on and take off a player. Moreno wasn't playing well anyways. Moreno wasn't playing anyways.
But we don't have. But you're talking as if we've got our wealth of riches on the bench. Had we had a full 11, had we had a full squad, for instance, had there been Partey that could be moved into midfield and there was someone you could bring on a right back, then fair enough. But you're talking about dislodging what is a very thin squad, and we already talked about the vulnerabilities that Jorginho would bring. So what is the other option with who's left on the bench and what we have on the starting
guys,
11.
I don't know why we're saying this as if we haven't seen Jorginho play against the physical midfield of Newcastle with Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton and be one of the best players on the pitch. I don't like Jorginho. I don't like Jorginho, but I'm saying in certain games when you're playing, yes, we were playing really well. We should have won that game comfortably. I understand. But given the last 4 or 5 games when we have bottled certain games and we're clearly suffering with confidence, and Aston Villa just scored, it shouldn't shock people that there's a chance they could come back. And the reason I'm saying bring Jorginho, not because he's good defensively, he sucks defensively, but one thing that he's good at is keeping possession. I even was watching the watch along with Saad, and I even said, even bringing Zinchenko and just controlling the middle might make that kind of change. We've seen that happen before. When you know your players are going through a bad run recently, you have to make some sort of change to not let Aston Villa come back.
Okay, guys, listen, it's a great debate. Viewers, you want to get your views, your opinions on this. We've got a lot of super chats to get to. Before I go to the super chats, Brendan, what did you make of today, my friend? Obviously, a lot of talk here on the players, some looking at the manager. Give me your breakdown of why it went so wrong today for Arsenal.
Well, for the first time in a long time, I actually agree with Mo. I'm looking at individuals today. I'm not necessarily looking at the manager. You could do an overall review on the whole thing, and you could point fingers at the manager. But I don't even want to do that today. Too many times people tell me, oh, all you do is come on here and blame the manager, right? So I brought some stats with me today. This isn't necessarily relevant to today, by the way. But the first stat I'm going to give you is, in the last 7 games for Arsenal in all competitions, we've had 116 shots, 33 on target, 10 goals. That tells you everything you need to know about Arsenal needing a striker. 116 shots, only 33 on target, 10 goals. That's ridiculous. Now, the reason why I say that ain't relevant to today is because, funnily enough, we was actually reasonably clinical in front of goal. If you go back and watch the game and look at the stats as well, I think we had 8 shots on goal, 3 on target, and 2 of them were goals. We was 2-0 up. We was comfortable in the game. We suffocated Villa for large parts of that game. But having said that, there were warning signs in the first half. Ollie Watkins did have 1 or 2 half opportunities on the break, that we dealt with okay in the first half. I do think, fingers that are being pointed towards the manager, I mean, it's harsh, but he maybe could have made 1 or 2 adjustments to stop that from happening, right? But again, I think that's very harsh, very, very harsh, because at the end of the day, Arsenal 2-0 up, we're at home, just see the game out. How many times have we seen Arsenal this season go 1-0 up and go into a defensive shape and just see the game out?
Is it just me, or am I here?
Yeah, me too.
Your mic's gone a bit crazy, bro.
Brandon, your mic,
It'll come when Brand comes back. We'll get him on. We'll jump to some of these super chats here because a lot of them are really important to look at. And member chats. Jack here. I think this is aimed at me. He says you blame Maresca for a 2-2 draw versus Bournemouth, but not Arteta for 2 up and bottling it. Well, I didn't personally say that he doesn't have any responsibility in this. The difference I would say is Arsenal would have killed to have the quality of players on their bench today that Chelsea had in that match. And I think that Maresca made the substitutions very, very late in that game. Again, ironically, he would have made the subs late today because he didn't concede those goals till later. But yes, I'm not personally saying that Arteta there's nothing to do here with Arteta. They've done this 5 times so far this season, and I think there's something in that. This here says, lads, Arsenal have the same points as this stage last season, scoring more, conceding fewer, losing less, and sitting higher in the table. When are we going to chill?
We need to up our standards.
Listen,
and that's not true, by the way. That's fake. That's BS. That's not true at all.
And even if it was true, we're going now into these next lot of games without Saka. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not. You can't compare that and this, man. Please, bruv.
Yeah, I sorry, go on.
Yeah, I said, and also we got to look at who we're up against and the point differential with Liverpool. That's the most important thing. End of the day, is just because we've got the same points as last season. Last season was a different race, and there was probably a different points gap between us and who was top at the time. So it makes, and they've got a game in hand as well. So yeah,
let me ask him a question, my man. Since the super chat, sorry, I forgot your name. I want you to just say one thing. Since you sent the super chat, do you believe Arsenal look exactly the same as last season? And do you believe your team can go on a 15 games run to match the point tally of last season? Just ask yourself that. Tell us. Let us know. Yeah. I'm really intrigued to know your opinion.
And this is the thing about it. Obviously, I get a lot of stick, and I understand it's YouTube, it's pantomime, it's banter about Terry, are Arsenal still scary? If Arsenal were looking like this in that pre-season when I made that video, in terms of the overarching performances, the football, I wouldn't have said they look scary. And I know that it become a little bit tongue in cheek and, say it a few times to wind people up and whatnot. But everybody that understands football knows that there's something slightly missing. When I can't even always put my finger on it. Now, some people say it's the manager because the manager's crap. Yes, but it was the same manager that had you purring. And you've got to remember, there's a lot of Arteta outers who in that first title challenging season got to January and said, I think I'm wrong. I think we're winning the league. So let's not pretend that Arsenal haven't played a superior brand of football, been more clinical, looked more dangerous, more regularly throughout the course of seasons. That's why I think the question marks have to be asked, because for large parts of this season, they haven't been as good as the last 2 years. And the debate is why. So, yeah, look, yes, you might have similar points, but you have to look at performances. The performances are the bedrock. I think Brandon...